Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about ranked battles and give you a little bit of a different perspective that might help you perform better. This isn't a video about how to play, how to always finish on top, map tactics, or game strategy, but it's more of a how to take advantage of the scoring system that they have in ranked battles, which I think is in some part a little bit silly. And I learned it accidentally, like most of you, by just clicking on ranked and starting a few games and noticing some strange results in the battle summary at the end. So let's just get into it here and see if this helps you. If you're already a fantastic player and you always finish on top and you churn your way through ranked battles, no problem, and you're a fanboy and you spend your day posting on the forums and berating the younger players and you're always on top, then don't watch this video. It probably won't help you. But if you're a regular schmo, average player, and you want to learn or at least keep some of these things in mind that I'm going to tell you, this might help you in your ranked battle endeavor. Okay, let's go to the information tab here in the garage. And what I found was interesting is this. Let's just jump into it. The scoring system in ranked. We're going to look at things kind of in a broader perspective, okay? If you win, if you're on the winning team in ranked, the top 3 players get 2 chevrons. The next down to position number 10 get 1 chevron, and the guys in the bottom don't lose any. So in the case of a win, you never lose a chevron, and as long as you're in the top 10, you're going to gain 1 or 2, which is not that hard unless you have these poor 5 guys probably had bad games. If you're on the winning team and you don't suck, you probably will get a chevron or 2. If you're a really good player and you know what you're doing, you're going to be in the top 3 if you have a great game. And if you do okay, you're probably going to get 1. So that's not that. That's not what this is about. Where it really comes, what really helps you progress faster is the cases when you're on the losing team. Because remember, even if you're a great player, you got a 60% win rate in ranked, 70% win rate, you're still going to lose 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10 battles. So 4 out of 10 times you're going to be on this losing team. And when you're on the losing team, only 1 player, the top player, gets a chevron, and then these 4 guys don't lose 1, and 10 people lose chevrons. This is where, this is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid being in the red here, the bottom 10 when you're on the losing team. And accidentally, by playing on my EU account where I only have 1 tier 10 tank, I have the patent, I played a game, and I hadn't read these rules, or we're going to get into it here, but I hadn't read all the how they do the scoring, and I had a game where I did 2,000 damage, and we lost. And then in the post-game stats, I finished 6th. I lost the chevron. And I noticed that the guy that finished 5th was in an STB1, and he had done something like 1,200 damage. I did 2,000 damage, he did 1,200. I looked at spotting assist. We both didn't have any spotting assist. I looked at kills. We both didn't have any kills because it was a blowout loss. But he finished higher. And then when I looked at the post-game stats, he had beaten me because he had played the role of his tank better and got some extra points for the role of his tank. So let's get into that for a second. And this is what I want you to think about when you're playing this. So these are the components of the formula to calculate your experience, that you see in the post-game stats. And the first 2 here are just the typical, very similar to how we get experience in random battles. Okay, damage caused by you, vehicles destroyed by you, damaged modules, assistance to allies in causing damage upon your spotting, that kind of stuff. You get a certain amount of experience. That's easy to understand. But then there's the second part. That's the for compliance with the vehicle's role. All right, and the way that's calculated, if you have to look at the numbers to understand how that's calculated. And they take 3 components here: ED, EK, EA. Bear with me, this is easy to understand. ED is experience for damage caused, then the experience for vehicles you've destroyed, and the experience for assistance to allies. Those 3 components added up, those 3 components of your regular XP then those are multiplied by these coefficients. These coefficients relate to the role of your vehicle, how well you performed in your vehicle's role. And they are role coefficients. By performing role actions that are specific to a particular vehicle, a player increases the role coefficients, K1, K2, K3, and there can be 1, 2, or 3 coefficients. They spelled 2 wrong, depending on the vehicle's role. Now, is this important? Well, let me put it this way. We'll go back to this graph. Now, when you're on the winning side, typically the top guy gets 1100, 1200, 1300 XP. And you know, down to the bottom 10, you're getting on the order of 600, 700 XP. And even if you finish in the bottom, you don't lose, right? I've seen this roll component be anywhere between 10 extra XP, 20 extra XP, up to 200 extra XP for that roll of the tank component. So when you're on the winning side and you're somewhere in the middle doing 600, 700, 800 XP in a game, that extra component of, say, 50, 60, 80, 100, 150 represents, 5%, 10%, 20% on the max of the XP that you get. So it's not as important. And even if you finish on the bottom, you don't lose a chevron. But when you're on the losing side, typically you see the top guy gets 300 XP, 350 XP, because they're on the losing team. Right? These guys in the middle here, 200 XP, 250 XP. And then when you start listing the order in the post-game stats, like that game I had in the patent, I'm sitting at number 6 with 280 XP. And the guy who didn't lose the chevron in 5th position gets 272 XP. He ranked higher than me. And when I look at the post-game stats, he received something, I'm just making these numbers up, but to give you a perspective, he might have received 80 extra XP because he played his tank role the way it was supposed to, and I received 10. The percentage value of your XP for playing your role is much more important when you're on the losing side. Because like I said, you can get 50, 80, 100, 200 extra XP just by performing your role. So when you're on the losing team, an extra 50, 60, 80, 100 XP is huge when you may only get 200 or 300 on the losing side. And that makes a big difference on whether you fall in this bottom 10 category. And I've seen time and time and time again on the losing team, the guys that finish on top, when you look at their XP, they're bumped up because they played the roles of their tank. So it's very important to find out what is the role of your tank. And this is where it gets a little squirrely, I'll say. This is the Russian reach around role that you have to understand. And these are the roles. We're going to go through them here. I'm going to try not to laugh because when I went to find out, well, why did I finish below in a patent to the STB1 that did less damage to me and did less in everything, except he played his role better. Let's go through this. So the defender category of tanks is pretty simple. You get extra XP in that role category for blocking damage and trading hit points and causing damage within 300 meters. Typical role of a heavy tank. Object 705 mouse are the typical tanks that are in this defender role. But think about that. If you're in a losing game and there's 2 mouses, you're a mouse and there's another mouse on your team. You both move up to the choke point, you're both fighting. You both do 2,000 damage. You both block 1,000 damage, right? But the other mouse, near the end of the game when he realizes that the game is a loss, drives out in front of the enemies and takes 3,000 or 2,800 damage. He loses 2,800 hit points. But you're careful, you side scrape perfectly, and you don't. And the enemies win by capping or something. He takes a couple of shots and loses some hit points. He actually gets more bonus than you because he traded hit points. He will rank higher than you because he lost HP. Everything else being equal. Okay? Breakthrough tank. Blocking damage and trading hit points, same thing, right? But now you have different tanks in there. So I don't know why they have two categories, but they get the bonus for the same thing. This is where it becomes a little bit funny here. Fire cover. The role of fire cover tanks is causing damage to vehicles within your view range, i.e. your spotting, which right away, on an aside here, this category is true for almost all the remaining categories. You get bonus points for causing damage to vehicles within your view range, which tells you right away if you have a selection of tier 10 medium tanks in your garage, it's very important to choose the ones that have the maximum view range, the best crews, so that you have the maximum view range, because you will get a bonus if you do damage to enemy vehicles that you spot yourself. Also encourages people to run food and spend a fortune on ranked, because that increases your view range, right? Or to run purple optics or binocs. Anyways, initial spotting of enemy vehicles is one of the roles of a fire cover tank. Now think about this, because I played some games in the AMX 30B, and I could make that thing work. I never got really very much bonus XP. Why? Well, because I was playing an AMX 30B, which is a lightly armored tank, and I don't rush forward in a lightly armored tank. In fact, when you're playing ranked, there's almost every game, an EBR and 2 artillery. So what happens in every game is the EBR rushes forward and spots everyone. And in my AMX 30B, I usually shoot the targets that the EBR spots. Usually they're outside my spotting range, because the EBR goes 100 kilometers an hour and spots everyone. So I do damage, but I don't get any extra for my roll. And I certainly almost never get initial spotting of enemy vehicles. Why would that be the role of a fire cover vehicle? I almost never get initial spotting of enemy vehicles when I'm playing one of these, because there's always a wheeled vehicle in the game. So I've seen some people do some crazy things, like playing some of these, the medium tanks that fall into this category, is to rush forward to the typical heavy tank choke point, like on Himmelsdorf. Rush down the heavy tank alley, or on some of those maps where you know the heavy tank choke points, and you see people in these vehicles rush there just to get an initial spot, and then hopefully not take too much damage and run away, just to get this initial spotting of enemy vehicles bonus. Which is significant. It's significant, especially if you're on the losing team. Anyways, keep going here. Light attack vehicles. Light attack vehicles get bonus for causing damage to vehicles spotted within your view range. The same. Blocking damage and trading hit points. Blocking damage and trading hit points. That's the Object 140 STB1. Remember the STB1 that ranked above me in my patent? He got a lot of bonus in that game. I, in that game, was playing versatile attack vehicle. I didn't know this at the time because I hadn't read this, but my versatile attack vehicle gets a bonus for causing damage within view range, same as this category. But now I only get a bonus for blocking damage. So do you remember the STB1 that ranked higher than me, even though he did less damage than me? That was a game on El Halouf, where we both went to the northwest corner in the rocks there on the ridgeline. We got smoked. We lost the game 1-15 or 2-15 in 3 minutes. But we both poked the same ridgeline. We were both trying to hold our ground there in the corner. We both shot tanks and caused damage to vehicles within our view range, point blank. Okay. He did about 1,200 damage. I did 2,000 damage. We lost. But he was playing a light attack vehicle, and he gets a bonus for blocking damage and trading hit points. I was playing the Patton, a versatile attack vehicle. I only get a bonus for blocking damage. I didn't block any damage, because every time I poked the ridgeline, a Russian tank spammed heat right through my made of cheese turret. They were also shooting the STB-1 and penning his turret. We both died. At the end of the game, I did a little bit more damage than him, but he got a huge bonus. He got a bonus for blocking damage and trading hit points. He got a bonus for dying. So he ranked higher. I only got a bonus for blocking damage, and I didn't block any. So I think in that game we both had base XP of around, I don't know, 280, around 300. And I got a bonus of negligible, like 10 extra. And he got a bonus of about 40. Because he lost all his HP. How does that even make sense? It doesn't make sense. But what it tells you is you need to know what these roles are of your tank, especially when you're going to lose. Remember, when you're going to win, you're not going to lose a chevron. But when you're going to lose, you have to do anything to not finish in that bottom 10. And let's say in that game we were fighting on that ridge line, and it was very close, and we were doing well and holding our own, and we hadn't taken any damage, but the enemy team pulled around and started capping. There's some missions where you have to cap. And the cap timer was going to, and we were going to lose by capping. If you're that STB player, you want to die. You want to go out and trade your hit points, and you'll get a bonus and rank higher. Does that make sense? Anyways, let's keep going here, because it gets silly. And guys, these categories, they all have causing damage to vehicles within your view range and blocking damage. Or for the medium tanks, is all of them have that. What tanks are more likely to block damage accidentally? The heavily armored medium tanks? What nation is that? Just think about that, okay? Heavy destroyer. Okay, this is causing damage to within your view range and blocking damage and trading hit points. The Object 268 version 4 gets the same bonus as the conditions as the STB1. It's silly. High caliber support. Let's skip that. This is the next one I want to show you. Where is it? Where is my leopard? Okay, it's so silly that they don't even list it here. I'm going to show you. Let's go to the garage. I'm in my sheriff's account here where I have all the tanks. So I can actually show you by hovering on the tank what their role is. Now you would think that the role of the leopard would be to do long-range damage, to be a sniper. So perhaps get a bonus for damage done farther than 300 meters. That would be typically what I would assume might be the role of a leopard. But no. If you play the leopard in ranked battles, this is your role. You are a fire cover vehicle, and your role is to damage upon your own spotting, so you need to be close to the enemies. And your second bonus is for spotting enemy vehicles. So the way you get a bonus in the leopard is to go do some spotting. But you're playing ranked battles, and there's always an EBR on the team. And you can't ever do spotting of enemy vehicles. So you almost never get an extra bonus unless you rush forward to some choke point to try and do some initials, or you, I don't know, if you just block the EBR and try and wedge your way in front of him to go do some spotting. You have to go spot with your leopard. That's your role. What? For the patent. We already went through the patent, but my God, the poor patent. Let's put the crew back in there. You'd think the only strength of the patent, or the big strength of the patent, is that it has a really good view range. It's one of the highest base view range tanks in the game. It has 522 meter view range with a fully decked out crew, 420 base view range. So you'd think one of the roles of the patent would be to do some spotting assist, right? That would make sense if I was designing it, but no. In ranked battle, the role of the patent is to blocking damage. That's your role to get the extra bonus points, is if you block damage. But you will rank behind. This tank, the STB1, if you're playing side by side with him and you lose, and everyone spams gold at you, you will get 0 bonus because you didn't block any damage. But the STB1 will get a bonus because its role is to trade hit points. So if you die beside an STB1 and he dies as well, he will get a bonus because he traded his hit points. So think about that before you choose a tank. Here's another ridiculous one, guys. What's this ridiculous one here? If you choose the Object 430U, you are a versatile attack vehicle, and your role to get a bonus is to block damage. Now, do you think you're going to have an easier time blocking damage in your Object 430U than you will blocking damage in your Patton? So, okay, so just some things to think about, guys. And I know that there's been a couple of videos out there done by some of the great content providers. I think Des Game has done one, and Skill has done one, where they go through the tanks, and they, I think their videos called like best tanks to use in ranked battle mode. And you can watch those. Those are good. But what I wanted to leave you with is, if you're just a regular player, think about this when you're playing. And I'll kind of summarize it again here. It's very important for the average guy. Now, like I said, if you're a superstar and you're always number one and the sun shines out of your ass, and you always berate the young players on the forums, then you don't need my advice or anyone else's advice. But if you're just a regular schmo and you're trying this out and you don't want to just be terrible, remember, when you're on the winning side, chances are you're going to get a chevron unless you have a bad game. It's not that important. But when you're on the losing side, where the teams typically get 200, 300 XP, that bonus becomes huge in determining whether you finish 4th or 5th or 7th or 8th. Because that 100 bonus, when you're only getting 300 to start with, represents 30, 40% of your XP. So you have to really be careful in reading your tank's role and choosing that tank's role. And then when you're playing the game, realizing, because let's face it, most of the games are over in 3-4 minutes. And you can tell. When you go to that ridge line and you're ready to fight and you take 2 shots, and then you look at the score and the score is 0-8, and we're going to lose, right? We're going to lose. Then remember what your tank's role is. Keep doing damage, keep trying your best, but if your tank's role is to trade hit points, trade your hit points. If your tank's role is to bounce shots, poke that ridgeline and hope they shoot your turret, or side scrape, or do something to draw fire. Or if you're unfortunate enough to play a tank like a Leopard or an AMX 50B, and your role is to do some spotting, do that initial spotting run at the beginning, just in case you're on the losing team. That extra bonus might put you in the top 5. Then to end it off here, here's just the last couple of categories here. The Wheeled Scout and the Track Scout. This is, in my opinion, just stupid, because the role of the Track Scout to get the bonus is initial spotting of enemy vehicles, and the same with the wheeled vehicles, of course. So if you play a tier 10 light tank and you're in a game and your team has an EBR, you probably won't get any of this, because the EBR is going to get it all. He's going to do 3 laps of the map before you even get to the center ridgeline. So the wheeled vehicle rules. All right. Artillery. This is another flavor of ranked battles. Artillery gets its bonus by assisting allies and causing damage by stunning enemy vehicles. Okay. Causing damage to enemy SPGs, so counter battery is very important. And then this is the other one, stunning 2 or more enemy vehicles with 1 shot. So what you typically get in these ranked games is all the artillery focuses on the choke points, where most of the teams, and let's face it, most of the maps have choke points, and the artillery will bomb and bomb and bomb those choke points over and over again to try and get these bonus points. So if you go off as a medium tank somewhere else on the map and you spot someone and you call an artillery to please shoot this guy, they won't. They won't. They'd rather shoot the choke point and splash 2 guys or stun 2 guys than have a direct hit on someone else that you might be calling out. So anyways, guys, I hope I hope this helps you out. Like I said, this is not a video on how to be the best player and rank on the top. So I'm certainly not going to rank at the top of any list. The only reason I'm doing it is to try and get myself to the second division. And by achieving second division, I'll be able to, I think, purchase the Kampf Panzer 50T for 20,000 bonds. I have to achieve that second division in order to unlock that as one of my rewards. And of course, everyone is playing ranked to try and get the reward, that funny American heavy tank with the weird turret. That's, you know, the overpowered new tank that the top players are going to get, that is going to shit on you for the whole next year. Anyways, I hope that helped. Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Any little quirks and quirks or funny things that you can do to try and improve your rank. And think about it when you're going to lose. It's the most important, because when you lose is when you lose a chevron. And you don't want to lose a chevron. You want to be in the top 5. And you don't need a lot of bonus XP to get in the top 5. Catch you guys on the next one.